Hi everyone, my name is Anidobu. For those of you who have not met me, I am a rising sophomore at the University of Illinois, and this is my project. I titled it the ANYANWU because that's the sun god in Igbo culture, and I thought that was just very fitting. It's also like an omen for good luck, and because of my site, I thought it was just a very fitting name. So my site is at the base of Milken Hill in Enugu State, Nigeria. And I chose the site because I really like the story behind it. When I went to go visit Nigeria last December, I drove down, like up and down that hill a bunch of times. It's actually really scary, but my family was telling me the story behind it. And it's a very big sense of pride because of apparently, this is what I was told, our ancestors carved the road with their bare hands. So that's like something that they're very proud of. But also, we saw a man who was stalled on the side of the road, and everyone was praying for him because they're gonna say he was gonna have a bad day. So it's a good and a bad thing that the road was built and like the road is there, and even the hill is like habitable. So that's why I chose the goddess of the sun goddess and like the omen for good luck as the name for my design. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Okay.
So my elements, my 15 elements for aesthetics and forms, I chose the high pitch roof as one of my aesthetic elements, mostly because it's a very big indicator of Igbo architecture, and it's one thing that separates us from other architecture styles in West Africa. And I just like the engineering and the thought process behind it. It serves so many purposes, and it's just very versatile. And it solves a lot of problems that we face here in the States with ventilation and heating and cooling and stuff like that. Single level dwellings, because everyone likes to be kind of on the same floor. It's a very open space where people can come in and go out as they please, even if they don't happen to live in that building or like in the compound. And Yuli designs and CPDI writing was another thing that I chose because it's something very unique to Igbo culture, and it's something that's kind of was lost for a while, but people are now finding their way back to it. So I thought it was a good thing to highlight. For materials and sustainability, I chose mud brick as the material for the walls, thatch for the materials of the roof, and wood and local timber for the flooring and other details in the building. For culture and lifestyle, I decided to use community living centered around the courtyard. So the courtyard is open to the public and open to community members to come and like display their work and everything. And that's a big part of like Igbo culture. Like you can go to your neighbor's house and knock on the door and just walk in, even if they're not home. Like everyone's welcomed everywhere. So that's a big part of my design. The gallery and exhibit to highlight local talent, and the OB in the form of a gazebo for the private suites. For processing cost, locally sourced materials and labor, rammed earth and mud brick construction, and eco-friendly earth building was what I decided to highlight. For spirituality and philosophy, I added a libation pool for ceremonies and for rituals, a shrine at the entrance in reverence to our ancestors and the people who dwell in the area, and groundbreaking rituals for the process of building the resort and for any other things that could be built in the area.
Okay.
So these are the two images that kind of influenced my design. Like the high pitch roofs was something that I knew that I wanted to incorporate, and just the materials in the second picture was something that I referenced a lot to see how I wanted it to look and how I wanted it to feel. And those were two things that just really influenced how I designed my resort. And then these are some more modern images of resorts in like South Africa and Kenya and other places. And just the natural feel and the warm feeling of the rooms was something that I wanted to kind of embody and incorporate into my design as well. So for my conceptual process, these masks were really influential in my design and my layout, just because when I was researching what to reference, I wasn't really sure. So I was just like looking through pictures and images of different carvings, statues, sculptures, and something that I noticed was kind of like a motif was symmetry. And I'm a very big fan of symmetry, like things that match up, like no matter how you place it, like that's something that I find very interesting. And even before symmetry was probably even a word to Igbo people, like they still embodied that in everyday things. So that's what I really wanted to incorporate into my design, like symmetry and just the natural feeling of things being even and things being balanced and put in place. So this is my mood board, and these are the materials I use. That's the mask that I reference the most in my design. And the sentence at the bottom says welcome, love, unity, and peace in CBD symbols. And I thought that was like a good motto and kind of like a good saying to fit my design, because that's something that I wanted my design to embody, and I think something that the Igbo people embody. So for my floor plan, at the left-hand side is a banquet hall. And when I was, when we were doing our research and like talking during class and everything, something that we talked about was that a lot of um, a lot of our history isn't written. It's not anything you can read about. It's mostly verbal and something that you experience in person. So I thought a banquet hall would be a great thing to add into like a cultural center for festivals and for rituals and for ceremonies that take place. There are just so many different parties that happen for so many different reasons. They're like groundbreaking ceremonies, homecomings, birthdays, weddings, everything. So that's just a place where I thought people can gather. And it's also a good way for the resort to make money and like the people in the area to make money, because if people are coming, they're gonna need catering, they're gonna need chairs, tents, everything. So that's just a good way to increase income. The libation fountain is another spiritual aspect. There's always a big call for respect in Igbo culture. Like some of the founding principles are respect, and whenever you go somewhere, if you pour a drink, you gotta pour, some libations for your ancestors. So I thought like a fountain where that can happen would be a good place. There are two different kinds of suites, a guest suite and then like a master suite. So the master suite has attached gazebos, which is kind of a rendition of an OB, like a more private place, but that isn't open to like the rest of the public. And then the courtyard, I wanted to make the courtyard open to the public and like to other people in the community so that they can have like an open air market. People can come in and sell their goods. And basically, like as a tourist, you're going to experience the market, which is something you just have to experience when you go to Nigeria. So you get it right at your front doorstep. And I didn't want the resort to feel like it was being placed or like imposed on the people of the area. I wanted them to feel like they can use it for their own gain. So a courtyard is a perfect place for them to come, sell their goods, and the restaurant as well is where they can, cook for other people, sell what they cook, make some money. And then there's an office, some storage. There's a shrine at the front side where basically it's just reverence to your ancestors, reverence to the gods. And there's reception and a gallery space for people to showcase their work and eventually sell their work if they decide to do that. So this is an exterior view of one of the entrances. I didn't want there to be a set entrance because I didn't want it to feel like I said, I didn't want it to feel like the structure was being imposed like on the land. I wanted it to feel supernatural, like people can just walk in and out, you know, experience basically what it's like to actually live in a Nigerian village. Because people are just walking around everywhere. Like they'll walk through your courtyard to get to their courtyard. They'll walk through your backyard to get to their front yard. So it's not like a gated community. It's not super private or anything. It's pretty open. So this is one of the entrances, and it has the saying on the outside that was like the motto for my design. This is the courtyard facing the libation pool and like showcasing some of the rooms. On the outside of the doors are Yuli symbols and like NCPD writing, and they each like have different meanings. So that's what I use to like label each room. So like, here's your key, you can go to the chief room, or like, here's your key, you can go to the beauty room. And like that would be like where you stay for your duration of your travels or whatever. This is a view of the interior of the guest suite. So this is the smaller one. I don't know, I really like it. I would like to live here one day. You know, it's really natural. And I like the roof and everything. And then the back door opens up so that you kind of just have a view of the outside and like the hill behind you and all the vegetation. And it's kind of cool because if you're at the base of the hill and you look up, you can see like the tiers of where people built their like rows of houses. So it's just something fun to like look out and see. And also, I just wanted to highlight like all the barn doors, because doors are kind of like an important part in Igbo culture, especially the front door, because carvings and like symbols, they indicate a lot of things like your ancestors or like what you identify as. So like there can be a carving that says warrior and like here's a warrior that lives in this house. But when you're in a house, like the door is kind of in the way because most of the time it's open and then you just have the curtains. So I figured barn doors would be a lot easier because you don't have to swing them in and out. You can just slide them back and forth and they kind of just blend into the wall. And now you don't have to like use too much space. So I think that's something that can be a standard and that can just shift in like design in residential houses and stuff like that. So this is a master suite, and included in the master suite is a gazebo to the side. And then there's also like a mini kitchenette in the front. So, you know, it's a more private space for people who are wanting to experience Igbo culture, but don't want to be bombarded with all the openness of Igbo culture. So this is like a more private suite that they can still have all the fun and stuff, but they can still have their space as well. And then this is a view of the restaurant, and it's really just an open space. Like most of the time people eat outside anyways, just because like why would you eat inside when you have beautiful weather and like a great view and stuff. And the kitchen isn't too big because a lot of meals they're not like super complicated. It's really just like here's pounded yam, here's soup, put it together and like eat it. It's not like you have like a 3-course meal, like tons of stuff on your tray. So the kitchen, I didn't think it needed to be super big, but it's also there for some of the residents to just see like how they're cooking and like what they're cooking. And I think like open windows, like once you smell food, you just kind of want to come outside and like see what's going on. So that's why I made it like super open and like everyone can see what's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just want to say thanks to Madali for this wonderful opportunity. And honestly, it's been a crazy summer, but I'm glad I stuck with it. This has taught me so much. I've met so many great people, and I feel like I've grown a lot closer to my roots. Like being in the States and being Igbo, sometimes it's hard because you don't get to experience all the great things that come with our culture. Like just being at home is just, I don't know, it's a different experience. So being able to like read about it, learn about it, and build for it, it really kind of makes up for some of that. So thank you so much.